We spend a lot of time focusing on how we look, what we wear, how we appear to others, what kind of car we drive, or how many followers we have. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with taking care of ourselves. But let me tell you, what's on the inside matters so much more than what's on the outside. You can have the nicest clothes, the best smile, the most polished life. But if your soul is tired, if your heart is full of anxiety, guilt, bitterness, or resentment, it will weigh down everything else. That's why the Bible says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers." Your soul is the foundation of your life. A strong soul builds a strong life. Maybe today your body looks fine. Your career is moving, you're posting smiling pictures. But deep down, your soul is dry. You're tired, disappointed. Maybe you've been carrying pain for years, trying to move on without healing. Friend, God doesn't just want to fix your situation. He wants to heal your soul. He wants you whole from the inside out. A healthy soul forgives quickly. A healthy soul lets go of bitterness. A healthy soul doesn't replay the offense over and over. It releases it. It says, "I won't let what happened to me poison what God has for me." When your soul is healthy, you stop striving and start living. You stop reacting and start resting. You don't need the approval of people when your heart is anchored in the acceptance of your Creator. And here's the truth. Life will throw things at you. You'll go through seasons where things don't make sense. People will disappoint you. Dreams may delay. Prayers may seem unanswered. But when your soul is anchored, you don't fall apart. You don't lose your joy every time something shifts. A healthy soul knows God is still in control. Some of you need a soul detox. You've been carrying bitterness, fear, envy, guilt. These things are draining your joy. Let today be the day you say, "Enough is enough. I'm letting it go." You can't control what others do, but you can choose to keep your soul clean. Forgive them, bless them, release them. Not for them, for your soul. When your soul is healthy, your perspective changes. You don't live by feelings. You live by faith. You don't wait for circumstances to improve before you celebrate. You rejoice even in the middle of the storm, knowing that your peace is not rooted in the outside. It's anchored in God. So don't wait to feel better. Feed your soul now. Speak life over yourself. Worship even when you're worried. Declare peace even when things are chaotic. Choose joy even when you're tired. Your soul is not just surviving. It's being restored. God is healing you where no one can see. He's strengthening you in the unseen places. You're not broken. You're being rebuilt. Today, make the decision, "I will protect my soul. I will renew my mind. I will forgive quickly. I will live freely. I will walk with peace, joy, and strength, because I have a healthy soul." We often live in a world where appearances matter a great deal. People invest so much time, money, and energy making sure the outside looks polished, acceptable, even impressive. Whether it's through the clothes we wear, the homes we live in, the cars we drive, or the image we post on social media, we're taught that the outer appearance carries the weight of our worth. But the truth is, that's only a fraction of the story. What truly defines a person isn't what they wear or what they show the world. It's what's going on inside. It's the condition of the soul. You see, you can have the best style, the most charming smile, the most put-together life on the surface, and yet still be battling insecurity, fear, anxiety, or guilt on the inside. You can look like you've got it all together, but feel like you're falling apart in silence. That's because what's happening in your soul always shows up eventually. If your soul is sick, everything else will feel off balance no matter how well you hide it. But if your soul is healthy, even in chaos, you will carry peace. Even in delay, you will walk with purpose. Even in loss, you will remain grounded in hope. The soul is like the engine of your life. You don't always see it, but it powers everything. When your soul is strong, you are better equipped to face the world. You respond instead of react. You rise above instead of sink beneath. You look ahead instead of staying stuck behind. When your soul is aligned, your outer life starts to reflect that harmony. And let me tell you, the most beautiful people in the world are not always the richest or most successful. They are the ones with a radiant soul. You feel peace when they walk in the room. You feel encouraged when you talk to them. They carry something deeper, something that no material success can give a healthy soul. Now, think of the times when you felt truly at peace, truly alive. Chances are those moments were not tied to what you wore, what you drove, or how many people liked your post. Those moments were likely when your soul was calm, when you felt loved, when you were free of pressure or performance, when you knew you were enough just as you were. That's not a coincidence. That's the soul being in sync with what truly matters. It's not about the external noise. It's about the internal alignment. Sometimes we focus so much on fixing the outside, getting that new job, upgrading our lifestyle, changing our appearance. But we neglect the inner repairs. We push past grief instead of grieving. We carry shame instead of releasing it. We bottle up anger instead of confronting it. And all of these unresolved emotions stay in the soul, quietly infecting our confidence, draining our energy, and distorting our view of ourselves and others. That's why we must learn to pause, reflect, and ask ourselves, how is my soul? You might not always be able to change your circumstances, but you can change the condition of your soul. You can choose to release bitterness. You can choose to forgive. You can decide that you're not going to let the opinions of others determine your self-worth. That's power. That's the foundation of true health. When your soul is grounded in peace, you live from a deeper place. You're not swayed by every opinion, not crushed by every disappointment. Your life doesn't fall apart when things don't go your way, because your soul is anchored. One of the most dangerous things we can do is keep feeding our image, but starving our soul. What good is a picture-perfect life if you feel empty inside? What good is applause from the crowd if you don't even like the person in the mirror? You can have influence, but still feel insecure. You can have visibility, but still feel invisible. Because what truly fills you isn't out there. It's in here. It's in the soul. And here's what's beautiful. The soul doesn't need perfection. It needs honesty. A healthy soul isn't a flawless soul. It's a real one. It's okay to admit you're hurting. It's okay to say you're struggling. It's okay to not be okay. Healing begins where honesty begins. You don't have to perform your way into peace. You can simply begin by being still, by letting go of the pressure, by returning to what you already carry inside, a divine worth. Let me encourage you to spend less time polishing the outside and more time nurturing the inside. Feed your soul with truth, not just trends. Build your identity on your values, not just validation. Spend time in stillness. Surround yourself with people who nourish your spirit. Let go of what's draining your peace. Life is too short to live with a weary soul. Some of the most successful people you'll meet are not the ones with the loudest voices or the biggest platforms. They're the ones who are internally rich. They may not always be seen, but they're steady. They may not get all the credit, but they carry light. Why? Because their soul is healthy. Their strength doesn't come from what they do. It comes from who they are. And who they are is rooted, steady, and whole. Your future is too important to carry an unhealthy soul. Your relationships, your purpose, your calling, they all depend on the health of what's inside. And no matter where you are right now, it's never too late to begin again. You can restore your peace. You can reclaim your joy. You can rebuild your confidence. You can renew your mind. You don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to keep pretending. You don't have to live fragmented. Start tending to your soul like you would a garden. Uproot the weeds of bitterness. Water the roots of gratitude. Expose it to light, not shame. Protect it from what's toxic. Invest in it like it matters, because it does. Your soul is not a side detail. It's the main story. And when your soul is right, your life will follow. You were never meant to just survive. You were created to thrive. And that begins not with more things, not with more applause, but with a healthy, vibrant, free soul. Because when the soul is well, truly well, everything else begins to rise with it. The light in your eyes, the bounce in your step, the calm in your presence, that all flows from the inside out. So today, make the choice, not just to look good, but to feel whole. Not just to chase success, but to live from peace. Not just to exist, but to truly live, all from a healthy soul. Just like the body can get sick from what we eat or what we expose ourselves to, the soul can also become unhealthy because of what it absorbs. There are things that can quietly creep into our inner life. Resentment, unforgiveness, fear, shame, and begin to choke the joy, the peace, and the strength that we once carried so freely. These things don't always show up right away. Sometimes they grow in silence, slowly, quietly. But eventually, they begin to reveal themselves in the way we think, speak, act, and live. The soul wasn't created to carry everything. It wasn't designed to hold on to every offense, to replay every mistake, or to carry the weight of the world. But too often, we let bitterness sit in our hearts like an uninvited guest. We carry guilt for things we've already been forgiven for. We allow fear to dictate our decisions, all the while pretending we're fine. And just like a toxin in the body can make you tired, sick, and sluggish, these internal toxins weigh the soul down, leaving us drained, anxious, and stuck. Imagine someone drinking poison and expecting someone else to get sick. That's what bitterness does. It makes us believe we're punishing the other person when in fact we're harming ourselves. The grudge you hold isn't affecting them. It's holding you back. It's keeping your heart from breathing. It's closing the door on peace. And so many people are walking around wounded not because of what was done to them, but because of what they refuse to release. Guilt is another toxin that many silently carry. It comes in quietly, often disguised as responsibility or regret. And while there is such a thing as healthy remorse that leads to growth, guilt is different. Guilt lingers. It tells you that you are your mistake. It says you're disqualified. It chains you to your past. But what many don't realize is that guilt doesn't help you grow. It holds you hostage. And the soul can't move forward while being dragged by the weight of what it should have done differently. Fear, too, is a subtle toxin. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. It tells you not to try, not to trust, not to hope. It keeps you small, even when there's a big future waiting. It convinces you that staying stuck is safer than risking freedom. And when fear becomes a habit, the soul starts to shrink. You might be alive physically, but internally you feel like something's missing. You play it safe. You avoid new beginnings. You expect the worst and call it wisdom. But deep down, it's just a scared soul longing to be brave again. That's why tending to the soul isn't just a spiritual discipline. It's a necessary rhythm of living well. You don't have to be perfect to have a healthy soul, but you do need to be intentional. You need to be willing to do the inner work, to look within, to notice what doesn't belong anymore. Sometimes we've held on to things for so long that we don't even realize they become a part of us. But that bitterness, that fear, that guilt, it's not you. It's something you picked up along the way. And it's okay to put it down. Healing doesn't come from pretending the pain isn't there. It comes from facing it, feeling it, and then letting it go. It comes from surrendering what you can't control. It comes from forgiving those who will never apologize. It comes from being gentle with yourself when you mess up. The soul heals when it is no longer at war with itself. Sometimes you'll hear people say, just move on. But the truth is, you can't move on without cleaning up what's underneath. You can't build something new on a foundation that's cracked. You can't create peace while carrying chaos. And that's why detoxing the soul is not a one-time thing. It's a daily decision, a daily practice of releasing, a daily choice to protect your inner world even when your outer world is spinning. So how do we begin that process? First, it starts with awareness. You can't heal what you won't admit. Take time to check in with yourself. Ask honest questions. What am I still carrying that's weighting me down? Who do I need to forgive? Even if it's myself, what fear am I allowing to block my growth? When you begin to answer these questions, don't judge yourself. Be kind. The goal isn't to condemn yourself, it's to free yourself. Second, speak truth over your life. The lies that feed guilt and fear thrive in silence. But when you speak life, when you declare that you are not your past, when you affirm that your value isn't based on perfection, something shifts. The soul responds to truth like a flower responds to sunlight. It begins to open up. It begins to breathe again. Even if your situation hasn't changed, the atmosphere inside of you starts to transform. Third, practice letting go daily. Forgiveness isn't always a one-time decision. Sometimes it's a choice you make every single day until your heart catches up. You don't forgive because they deserve it. You forgive because your soul deserves peace. You release the pain not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to move forward. You let go of guilt not because you forgot what happened, but because you've decided not to live under its weight anymore. Fourth, guard what you allow into your soul. Just like you wouldn't eat something rotten, be careful about what you feed your spirit. The voices you listen to, the thoughts you dwell on, the environment you live in, they all affect your soul. Spend time in places that build you up. Be around people who speak life. And most importantly, create space for stillness. Your soul needs silence the way your body needs sleep. Fifth, invite grace into your life. A grace is not just a spiritual word. It's the breath of the soul. It reminds you that you don't have to have it all together to be worthy. That you are loved even in your mess. That you are healing even if you still feel broken. That you can start again today, right now, regardless of how long it's been. Grace is what turns shame into strength, fear into courage, and guilt into growth. No one has a perfect soul, but everyone has the opportunity for a healthy one. And the beauty of the soul is that it's resilient. It knows how to recover. It knows how to bounce back. But it needs your cooperation. It needs your care. It needs your attention. You weren't created to carry the weight of every wound, every failure, every disappointment. You were created to live free, to love deep, to breathe light into every space you walk into. So today, start the journey inward, not to fix everything in one moment, but to begin tending to your soul with the love, care, and grace it's been craving. Because when your soul is free of toxins, your whole life starts to flourish. Your vision becomes clearer. Your relationships grow deeper. Your purpose comes alive. And peace, real, lasting peace, becomes your new normal. Not because the world changed, but because you did. From the inside out. There are certain signs in life that speak louder than circumstances. You don't always have to ask someone how they're doing to know if something is right in their life. Sometimes it shows. It shows in how they walk, how they talk, how they respond to difficulty. One of the clearest indicators of what's happening inside a person is what flows out of them in moments of pressure. When life presses in, what's inside will eventually come out. And one of the surest signs that someone is living from a strong, healthy place is that they consistently carry peace and joy. Not just when things are easy, but especially when things are not. Peace and joy are not just emotions that randomly show up. They're deeper than that. They're the evidence of alignment. They are indicators that the inner life is in a good place, that the foundation is secure, that the soul is being fed and not ignored. You can't fake true peace. You can't perform joy. These qualities grow from within. They are not manufactured by external blessings, but nurtured in the soil of a whole and secure heart. There are people who don't have perfect circumstances, who aren't surrounded by luxury or applause, who may not have everything they want, but their soul is well. You see it in the calm way they handle conflict. You hear it in their words that carry grace. You feel it in their presence, which is gentle and grounded. Their joy isn't loud and attention-seeking. It's steady, quiet, and deep. Their peace isn't dependent on everything going right. It's rooted in something unshakable. On the other hand, you can meet people who have all the outer signs of success, but are constantly restless. They're easily triggered. They have no patience. They're constantly competing, constantly stressed, constantly reacting. Why? Because peace isn't present. Joy has gone missing. And it's not because they aren't achieving things. It's because the inside is unsettled. The soul is exhausted. There's no rhythm of rest, no connection to what truly matters. Their lives may be full, but their hearts are empty. When your soul is in a healthy place, you don't need constant validation. You don't chase applause or approval. You're not looking for things to make you feel important. You already know who you are. You know where your value comes from. You understand that peace isn't something you stumble into. It's something you build through consistent inner work. You protect your mind, guard your heart, and choose thoughts that feed life, not fear. It's not about perfection. You can still feel sadness and have a healthy soul. You can still go through hard times and carry deep peace. Because it's not about avoiding life's challenges. It's about anchoring yourself in something deeper than your emotions. When peace lives in you, storms can swirl around you and you'll still be standing. You won't be easily shaken. You won't be quick to panic. You'll trust that what's happening may not feel good, but it's working for something good. Joy, too, is not just about being happy. Joy is a A joy is a deep sense of purpose and gratitude that isn't changed by temporary situations. Joy says, I may not have everything I want, but I choose to celebrate what I do have. Joy says, even in waiting, even in struggle, I will not lose my light. That kind of joy isn't found in possessions or praise. It comes from a deep well inside the soul that's been dug through time, patience, and perspective. When you carry peace and joy, your entire atmosphere changes. You become someone others feel safe around. You speak life, not gossip. You see the best, not the worst. You choose to uplift rather than tear down. Your presence brings calm in chaos. And you begin to attract the kind of relationships and opportunities that align with your inner world. People can sense when someone is whole. They're drawn to that. Not to the noise, but to the realness. To the quiet confidence that says, I know who I am, and I'm not moved by the temporary. This doesn't mean you'll never have bad days. It doesn't mean you'll always smile or always feel good. But when peace and joy have been cultivated in your soul, those rough days don't define you. They pass through, but they don't take root. You learn to rest even in the middle of work. You learn to be present even when the future is uncertain. You know how to return to center when life pulls you off course. That's the power of a soul that's been nourished. Sometimes we spend so much time fixing our outer lives, our schedules, our homes, our finances, yet we neglect the most essential part, the spirit within. We try to organize everything outside of us, hoping it will create peace inside of us. But peace doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence, from being still, from connecting to the truth that who you are is more important than what you do. That how you feel inside matters more than how you appear to others. A person with a healthy soul learns to enjoy the simple things. They're not obsessed with the next big thing. They find joy in quiet mornings, in laughter with loved ones, in small victories no one else sees. They know how to savor moments. They live slower. They listen deeper. They breathe more freely. They've learned that the fast-paced, high-pressure life may bring success, but it rarely brings soul satisfaction. You were never meant to live frazzled and fearful. You were meant to carry peace. You were designed for joy. That's not just a nice idea. It's your natural state. It's what happens when you return to truth, when you release what you were never meant to carry, when you quiet the noise and come back to the stillness inside. It takes intentionality. You can't just hope for peace. You must protect it. You can't wait for joy to show up. You must cultivate it. That means setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, choosing what you feed your mind, and practicing gratitude even when things feel incomplete. Peace and joy are not just gifts. They are habits. They are cultivated through daily choices, through small decisions, through inner alignment. And here's the amazing thing. When your life reflects peace and joy, you become a light in the lives of others. You give people permission to slow down, to be real, to breathe again. You remind others that it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. You show them that wholeness is possible, that inner healing is real, that they too can live from a place of strength and stillness. Don't underestimate what peace and joy can do in your life. They aren't just feelings. They are forces. They are your inner compass, guiding you toward a life that's not just full, but fulfilled. They guard your heart. They protect your purpose. They keep your soul alive. So even in a world that's rushing, chaotic, and loud, choose to be the person who is calm, grounded, and joyful. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've chosen to keep your soul healthy. And from that place, everything else begins to change. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. One of the greatest misunderstandings many people have is thinking that the only sign of God's blessing is in material success or outward achievement. If everything is going right, if the doors are opening, if the money is coming in, if people are clapping, then God must be pleased. But life doesn't always reflect the fullness of what's going on spiritually. There are moments when everything can look calm on the outside, yet your soul feels empty. There are other moments when things aren't going your way, nothing seems to be working out, but inside, your soul is thriving. And that is what truly matters. What we often miss is that the creator of our souls is not just focused on what we do or how much we achieve. He's deeply concerned with how we are doing inside. The soul is sacred. It is the center of who we are. And while life may pull you in many directions, while responsibilities and routines might crowd your schedule, there is a quiet but powerful truth in your inner world is not forgotten. Your peace, your joy, your wholeness, those are not optional to God. They are central. He wants your soul to be well because he knows that if the soul prospers, every other part of your life will begin to reflect that health. It's easy to get caught up in asking for things: better jobs, more money, stronger relationships, bigger platforms. There's nothing wrong with believing for increase, but sometimes we pursue outward growth at the expense of inward stability. We chase visibility without realizing our roots are still shallow. We want elevation, but our foundation is fragile. And when life stretches us, we start to crack because the inner life wasn't built to hold the weight of the outer success. A strong soul can carry a big life, but a weary soul, a neglected soul, a divided soul, it will struggle no matter how much opportunity shows up. That's why there are people who seem to have it all, but can't sleep at night. There are people with great influence, but they live under anxiety. There are those who are praised by the world, but feel purposeless within. Because no matter what the world sees, the soul knows when it's not okay. That's why sometimes life will slow you down, not to punish you, but to protect you. There are moments when things won't go as planned, when prayers feel delayed, when doors close, and you begin to wonder why. But it could be that in those very seasons, something deeper is being worked on. The outer life might be on pause, but the soul is in process. You're being taught how to be okay in stillness, how to remain rooted when nothing is moving, how to trust when everything looks uncertain. These are not wasted moments. These are the sacred seasons of inner growth. A healthy soul doesn't happen by accident. It requires space, awareness, and intention. You must learn how to pull back from the noise and listen to what's going on inside. Ask the hard questions. What's missing? What's wounded? What needs to be healed? Because you can't pretend your way into peace. You can't keep ignoring your inner pain and expect your life to thrive. What you hide will only hold you back. But what you bring into the light, that can be restored. Often we think success will fix the soul. If I get that promotion, I'll feel worthy. If that person apologizes, I'll finally have closure. If I achieve that goal, I'll be at peace. But external accomplishments cannot heal internal wounds. Closure doesn't come from others. It comes from within. Identity doesn't come from applause. It comes from knowing you are already valuable without it. And peace isn't something you arrive at after getting what you want. It's a posture you cultivate along the way. There's a different kind of prosperity. one that isn't flashy or loud. It's the kind where you wake up and your heart is at rest, where you walk through uncertainty with clarity, where you're no longer reactive but responsive, where your mind is clear and your emotions are settled. That is the kind of wealth the soul longs for. And it's the kind that no one can take from you. When your soul prospers, your decisions improve. You no longer settle for relationships that drain you. You no longer chase things that don't align with who you truly are. You stop striving and you start receiving. You stop forcing and you start flowing. You begin to realize that peace isn't a reward. It's a birthright. And joy isn't circumstantial. It's an inner condition that grows from gratitude, trust, and wholeness. Sometimes people will wonder how you're smiling when you should be breaking down. How you're walking with grace when life has hit you hard. How you still believe when everything looks delayed. They won't understand that it's not because everything is easy. It's because your soul has been strengthened, because you've gone through the process of becoming whole from within, because you've allowed your inner world to be rebuilt with truth, love, and faith. One of the most powerful things you can do is slow down and check in with your soul. Are you at peace with your past? Are you free from the need to prove something? Are you resting in who you are, or striving to become someone else? These questions may seem simple, but they cut deep. They bring clarity, and clarity leads to healing. Many people are searching for fulfillment, not realizing it starts with restoration. You don't need to become someone new. You need to return to who you've always been. Underneath the pain, beneath the layers of defense, behind the fear, you are whole. You are enough. But you must allow your soul to believe it. You must allow your inner life to catch up with the truth of your worth. It may take time. Healing is not instant. Growth is not linear. Some days will be hard. Some days you'll feel like you're going backward. But if you keep choosing to prioritize your inner health, if you keep listening to your soul and responding with compassion, you will see the fruit. You'll find that the more your soul thrives, the less you need from the outside. You'll carry a contentment that can't be explained, a peace that doesn't make sense, a joy that doesn't depend on good news. And here's the beautiful part. When your soul is thriving, your life begins to reflect it. Your relationships become more authentic. Your boundaries become stronger. Your choices become wiser. Your presence becomes lighter. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything inside is finally aligned. So today, know this: the world may measure your life by results and outcomes, but heaven measures your life by the condition of your soul. And your Creator is not just invested in what you do. He is deeply committed to who you are becoming. Not just outwardly, but inwardly. Not just in achievements, but in alignment. You were made for more than surface-level living. You were made to thrive from the inside out. And that begins with a soul that is whole, restored, and fully alive. We've talked a lot today about the soul. Not the part of you people see, but the part of you that carries everything. The part that feels deeply, hopes silently, believes through the pain, and keeps going even when it's tired. And the truth is, you can't live a whole life with a weary soul. You can't keep pouring out when you're empty inside. You can't keep chasing peace out there if you haven't made peace in here. But here's the good news. No matter what condition your soul is in right now, healing is possible. Renewal is possible. Strength is possible. You don't have to stay drained. You don't have to keep living at war with yourself. You don't have to cover up your emptiness with noise and distractions. You can begin today to tend to your soul, to clean out what doesn't belong, to restore what's been broken, and to align yourself with peace, purpose, and lasting joy. Let go of the idea that success on the outside will fix what's wrong on the inside. Let go of the belief that your worth depends on being busy, or perfect, or liked. True strength is not found in what you show the world. It's found in how you care for the parts of you no one sees. When the soul is healthy, everything else begins to align. You walk lighter. You speak kinder. You love deeper. You make clearer choices. You live with integrity. You move forward, not because life is easy, but because you're no longer carrying the weight of unresolved fear or guilt. So take this moment as a reminder. The most important part of your life is not your image, your status, or your performance. It's your soul. Protect it. Nourish it. Listen to it. Let God work in it. Because when the soul is well, the rest will follow. You may not have everything you want right now, but if your soul is strong, you're already rich. You may still be waiting for certain prayers to be answered, but if your soul is at peace, you're already walking in victory. You may have scars, but if your soul has healed, you are stronger than ever. Don't just live from your schedule. Live from your spirit. Don't just move through life. Thrive in it. Because when your soul is healthy, you don't just survive this life. You shine in it. Your future needs the best version of you. Not the most perfect, not the most successful, but the most whole. And that begins with a healthy soul.